You're still watching Agenda. Still with us, former National Security Advisor Roilo Golez and Attorney Harry Roque, Chairman of the Center for International Law. Our agenda for today, will EDCA strengthen Philippine defense? We will discussing about the role of the BFA, the Balikatan, the improving defense posture. Would you say that the EDCA is the most credible deterrent against China?
Well, the question is, will EDCA strengthen Philippine defense? What's defense for? Defense is for threat. What is the threat that the Philippines is facing right now? It is not so much internal threat. What we are facing is one of the most powerful countries in the world. Before, China was virtually about 1,000 miles away from us. We did not have a neighbor as strong as China. But now, China is our immediate neighbor. For example, in Mississippi, what are they constructing in Mississippi? They're constructing this. Imagine, they have this already in Cross.
That's
This is their master plan. It's already under construction. In Cross, they have this. In Subiri, which is just seeing distance from Pag-asa, they have this already. What will happen? They have a 3,000 meter runway, almost as long as the runway in Naiya. It can accommodate bombers, fighter jets, and the moment they have this operation, they cover the entire Philippines.
So in effect, they have a forward structure
They
there
forward
that can
structure.
cover the
Seven
region.
of them, yeah, seven of them are rising because of this massive reclamation. So, what is the counterpoint there? We just sit there and wait for them to gobble us up? I don't think so. We have to have an ally. And alliances, even during the time of the Middle Ages, the time of Napoleon, Great Britain was a major power, but it had to have an ally to confront
But Congressman, alliances can mean several countries, right? Not necessarily just the US.
Like what's happening now. You remove the Philippines. What are the emerging alliances? The emerging would be three already: Australia, Japan, and the United States. And to the west would be India.
Yes.
So they're talking of quadrilateral alliance. Well, South Korea is there, but because India, they have a common interest. They have a common adversary. India has been at odds with China for hundreds of years because of that 2,000-kilometer border. Vietnam is there also, that has had conflicts with
And
China.
I think Vietnam already joined us in our effort.
Vietnam is a virtual ally today, in spite of their very big military. Indonesia is coming into the picture because they see the threat.
Yes.
Malaysia has already become very vocal because of this aggressiveness of China. I think we are the only ones, if you listen to the legal analysts, we've been left behind. With nothing but legal defense.
Which surprises me, because if America has all these alliances in place in Southeast Asia, maybe the other countries should host them. What is different about EDCA is they will use our actual military facilities, even for free. And if the problem is that China now has forward operating stations in the West Philippine Sea, perhaps the answer there is for America to be in the exact same area where the artificial islands are. In which case, we don't need to allow them to use all our existing military facilities. We can give them Pag-asa. Go build a station in Pag-asa. And you don't need an EDCA for that purposes. No? In other words, even if we need China, we need the United States as a counterbalance to China. I don't think on a cost-benefit analysis that it is wise for us to actually allow the Americans to use our military facilities in our mainland when China right now is in the islands in the West Philippine Sea.
So
why? Because in case of a shooting war, under international humanitarian law, if they're here, they can target the metropolitan Philippines. Whereas, China is in the islands.
So what you're saying, it's a threat.
It's a threat to us because we become, as a nation, a target for military attack in case of a shooting war between the US and China. So my suggestion is, if we need to counter the presence of China through the artificial islands, give them some of our islands. We have real islands. We have 7 real islands. Unlike China, which have all artificial islands. They can build whatever they want there, but spare the metropolitan area.
I'm for that, but that's very provocative.
Provocative to whom?
Provocative for either side. When you put two very powerful entities very close to each other, everything is subject to possible, very dangerous, deadly miscalculation. As an extreme possibility, yeah, I'm for that. But better would be this concept of rotational bases where they can have they can preposition supplies, equipment that they will need.
That is not a basing agreement.
It's a rotational basing. Basic would be like what we had
Before.
And Clark.
And for you, rotational is not basing.
No, well, actually it is because it's 10 years automatically renewable. No? So what they call that, the only difference is they have now our military facilities for free, whereas before they would pay rent for it.
But still, if we allow our islands, the Calayan Island Group, we would still run into the same constitutional and legal issue because they're part of our territory. Our law says that the Calayan Island Group is part of our territory. So we will have to go through the same process.
Correct.
But if that is acceptable to you, then the same thing will be applied when it comes to the EDCA concept, which is a software version of basic.
Well, as far as
what you're suggesting is use part of the Calayan Island Group as part of the
outside
basic.
because that's where they are.
That will be where you will be traversing a more difficult constitutional question.
Number one, I think it's something that the senators can support, no? Because it's something that would alleviate the threat of an armed attack from China. No? A second issue, so the issue of provocation, let's admit it, by the fact that they're here, we are also provoking China. But what I'm advocating is minimizing the threat of actual military attacks going on in our mainland territory. So they can engage in the shooting war all we want in the West Philippine Sea, but please keep us away from
to
it.
what President Obama did in the APEC. Instead of going directly to, the symbolical visit to Gregorio, the Gregorio del Pilar, observing and making a statement for it outside of APEC, and then telling everyone, we're going to give you 2 ships. Isn't that this already provocation?
Well, for every action, there's a counteraction. I think the very rapid and massive build-up in the South China Sea by China, because it alters the balance of power in a very decisive way. Just having 7 bases there, the design that I showed, you'll have like mini Clarks and mini Subic right there. Look at the kind of facility that they have. They have a runway, they have a big harbor, huge harbor that can accommodate several frigates there. That will be almost equivalent of maybe about 1/3.
They're saying this is done
times 7
for weather purposes, to study. So this is really just...
Even that master plan that they showed before the construction started, they have fighter jets there in the master plan. They have frigates there in the area.
Okay, let's go back to APEC. Let's go back to APEC.
But what I'm saying is that right now, what happened after 1991, it created a vacuum, a power vacuum.
And that is a decision by the US to leave Asia, right?
Because
they were broke.
They
wanted to leave the Middle East.
They had no choice because we voted against it.
Well, they could have done, strengthen the regional security. But going back to APEC, I'm particularly amazed at the body language of the China leader, Premier Xi Jinping. President, sorry. He was on the center stage, and you seem to see the countries really not friendly. The body language was too telling, despite the fact that he had a very good speech. He was excruciatingly didn't know how to handle the center stage because of that issue.
Well, I think they didn't want this issue to be mentioned. In fact, they hate talking about this, whether it's in APEC, whether it's in the summit in
ASEAN, I think that is the biggest
in
issue.
foreign ministers, they don't want to talk about it. Why? Because they're uncomfortable. They know it's hard to defend. Their aggressiveness is hard to defend because it's them against the world. Who are their allies in the South China Sea issue? Practically no one. Except landlocked countries in ASEAN who have nothing to do with the South China Sea. But North Korea probably. But look at maybe Taiwan because of the joint
Yes.
claim. The
But
South
don't
China
see,
Sea.
this
But
is
you can see, Harvey, Malu, if you look at, just like anything in this world, you can tell what a person is by the kind of friends that he has.
Yes,
Yes.
but the
China's
problem,
friends,
Yes.
who are
Oh.
friends of the United States. You know, look at the alliance.
But
We
I
are in
think
good company. South Korea, US, New
we
Zealand,
cannot,
Australia,
Congressman,
India.
I don't think we should be fighting the wars of
No, we're not fighting.
I mean, we're
this is the
being
problem,
the stage.
I've been interviewed by Chinese
Oh.
media, and the problem is they don't see the Philippines as an independent state with its own national interest. They see us an American lackey,
Mhm.
which exacerbates the problem, and that's where the provocation is.
What is the
It's
propaganda?
high time.
Why are you believing
No,
the
it's not the propaganda, it's for real, because we are acting like an American lackey, We
Okay.
have acceded to the
Some
EDCA,
people are acting like Chinese lackeys
even
also.
in violation of our own constitution.
So both of you are,
Yeah, some people are acting like Chinese lackeys.
That's true. Let's go back. Shouldn't we pursue?
They rally against the United States when the destroyer visits.
Yeah.
They don't rally against China after China took over mischiefly, after China took over Scarborough.
We-
Well, fortunately,
take
I
time
can't be
to-
accused of that because I'm
Yeah,
suing
you-
China
you've
on
always
behalf of the
been-
fishermen.
You
But-
even call China as the new
Okay, the
imperialist.
new imperialists, the new hegemonists,
Okay.
but the new colonial. But what I'm saying is that the alternative is to pursue an independent foreign
Yes,
policy.
I'm leading to that.
I
Shouldn't
mean,
we pursue an
But there's
independent?
no such thing as an independent foreign
Why?
policy.
I'm sorry,
Even
but
the
but
US
it's
doesn't
about
have an
time.
independent foreign policy.
Well, no, I'm sorry, but maybe in my generation, we see it as a reality.
I
We will
don't think
think
so.
for it,
I've
and
gone
we
through
will
several
see to it.
I've studied
that we become
international
independent.
relations from way back the time of Napoleon, the Roman Empire. No such thing as an independent foreign policy.
It's
The instinct,
fundamental
the
difference.
initiators of the non-aligned movement are gone. Remember?
Yeah, because we have a changing
I'd like to
world,
think that we're
changing
continuing.
environment.
I'd like to think we're continuing to
But
that philosophy.
surely you would,
Great
surely,
Britain does not have an independent
surely as a
policy.
former national
Yeah.
security
Yeah.
head,
Let's talk
you
about
would still
independent,
pursue an
foreign policy.
independent.
The independent foreign policy is
policy
that we
Why-
consider
pro
Filipinos'
Philippines.
interest first.
We should decide on the basis of our national interest. In the same way that the US would decide on the basis of their national. What is our national interest here? Drive away China.
Well,
That is
I think our
because
national
of the-
interest is to resolve conflicts peacefully
We are doing
and to
that.
be
Okay,
resolved
gentlemen,
with equal
we'll
conflicts
have-
of
we'll have
respect.
time.
They're not handling it peacefully.
We'll
They're
have time.
threatening us with their
I will
bullets.
give you your
They're not happy.
final words. Please consider the question, what is it there for Juan de la Cruz
Yeah.
when it comes to EDCA?
I think Juan de la Cruz knows. If we run a survey of what Juan de la Cruz thinks, I think easily 80% will support EDCA. I'm very sure of that. I've talked to taxi drivers. Only those who are who are so ticklish about independent policy would probably object to this. But you talk to the ordinary. You can subject this to a plebiscite,
Referendum.
and I'm very sure that it will get at least 70–80% in favor. I'm very sure of that. As sure as the sun will rise tomorrow. Because the national interest here is to keep away China from grabbing our exclusive economic zone, which they're doing right now. That is our national interest.
What I will not speculate. The people have spoken. They have spoken through their constitution. They do not want foreign bases, facilities, and troops in the country unless it is pursuant to the national interest to be determined by their representatives through the Senate or even by themselves in a referendum which Congress may hold for the purpose. I'm not absolutely sure that EDCA is in favor or against our national interest, but that's why I want it to be debated in the Senate. And if Congress decides, I want my voice to be heard, and that will be the time when we will have an actual referendum and not just a survey.
Okay.
But for the time being, honor the Constitution, honor the people's will, no foreign bases.
Okay, great. We would like to thank our guest, former National Security Advisor Roilo Golez and Attorney Harry Roque, Chairman of the Center for International Law. That's our agenda today. Tune in again next week as we take a stance on the issues affecting every Filipino. I am Malu Tikia today. Thank you.